Yeah, they try to silence a lot of people, but every now and then there's something that happens that galvanizes the attention of people. How many of you all saw in the newspaper last week when a good friend of ours, Desiree, went up to Condi Rice in a hearing? And Desiree from the state of Texas, from old Fort Worth area, who's been up in Washington for the last 4 and 5 months, being the house mother of the Code Pink Women for Peace House. And Desiree, who is so committed to ending this war, she's got 2 grown sons. She's got a granddaughter. She says, this has got to stop. I don't want my kids to be involved in this thing. And so she's been up there day after day after day in the halls of Congress telling those congressmen and women, you've got to stop the war. And to see her in action, I mean, starting from the very beginning when she was kind of a wallflower. She didn't say a lot. She just kind of was taking everything in, and then week after week after week, watching her start getting some confidence and some courage and going up to these congressmen and women and getting their hand as they walk down the hallway, walking with them, shaking their hand, holding out your hand. And of course, any politician grabs any hand that comes out. Well, Desiree is one of the world's best of grabbing a hand and never turning loose. She can hold a hand through half the building of the Rayburn building and with a congressman or woman that's trying desperately to get away from her, and with a congressional aide on the back trying to break this hold that Desiree has on this congressman or woman, saying, what have you done for peace today? What have you done to stop this war? How much money have you taken from those corporate guys that are lobbying you? What are you doing about the veterans? What are you doing about the Iraqi mothers and children and fathers? How about those 45,000 Iraqis we have detained in Iraq right now? What are you doing about that? Well, she is seized by this. And the other day, I didn't see this myself because I just happened to be in court that morning in Washington, D.C. for an offense that I had a couple of weeks earlier, which was interrupting a dear friend of mine, Ambassador Ryan Crocker, who's our current ambassador to Iraq. He and I had served together at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan in December of 2001 and for the next 3 months. And Ryan was there with General Petraeus to say what the surge was doing, that indeed the surge was really working and things were going well. And I do respect Ryan. I mean, he's one of our most seasoned diplomats. He has served in the Middle East all of his life. He is an Arabic speaker. He knows the region. But he has now chosen to be a toady for the Bush policies rather than a real diplomat for America. And so he was there saying all the good things that were happening. And finally, I had had enough, and I stood up and I said, I too am a diplomat, but I'm a diplomat for peace. And you can't have peace through occupation. And occupation must end in Iraq. We've got to bring our troops home. So well, that's one of the phrases, those are the sentences that can get you arrested. So I was hauled out. But I could see when Ryan had his back to me, and when I started speaking, I could just see his spine go kind of up like this, and he kind of looked around like that, like, I think I recognize that voice. I think I recognize that voice. Well, I was in court being arraigned for that charge when Desiree went up to the Secretary of State, Condi Rice. And Desiree, who said, I really didn't think much about what I was doing. I knew I wanted to have bloody hands with red dye on them. I was going to do that, but I was seated in the second row. And I think, how many of you all saw Democracy Now! This morning? Yeah, and you saw her explain this. Well, to have heard her, actually not that night, but the next night, because she had to spend the night in jail, as the other 5 who were arrested that same morning. She said, Condi Rice was just in front of me, and so I just went up, and I just said, the millions of Iraqis that are dying, they're dying, they're dying. And by that time, the diplomatic security guy, who undoubtedly has lost his job now because he was nowhere to be seen when Desiree came right up there. But to his credit, he did have a little bit of good judgment. I don't know if you saw the film of this, but there was that lady in red that was standing kind of between the diplomatic security agent and Desiree and Condi Rice, and that was Lena Ross-Layton, one of the very nasty members of Congress from Florida, who is really she is a mean lady. she got decked by the diplomatic security guys that came after Desiree. So as we saw that, before Desiree had even come out of jail, she was in jail, and we were thinking, oh God, she's probably going to spend the next 10 years because they're going to throw the book at her. But, you know, the one thing it might be worth it was to see Ross Layton decked for that. Well, remarkably, Ross Layton, and thank goodness I didn't want her hurt badly, she got up and participated in the rest of the hearing, and now it turns out that Desiree is not charged with a felony. She is not even charged with anything to do with Condi Rice. They've now charged her with somehow assaulting a police officer, and then well, and that'll be dropped, I'm sure. The other one is that she defaced public property with her bloody hands, and if you've ever been arrested, you know, the first thing they do is, you know, put your hands up, put them on the wall. Well, of course, okay, fine. Is that really what you want? So I suspect she'll probably, that charge will be dropped, and there'll be something. I mean, it's staggering to me as a former diplomat that indeed anyone could get that close to a public official. It is the one place where we can, in the halls of Congress. We can get close to the senior officials of our government, and we need to put them on notice, as Desiree did to the Secretary of State, that you are doing wrong things, lady, that you are responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. And I don't know if you heard, as Desiree was taken out of the hearing room, she was saying, war criminal, take her to the Hague, take her to the Hague. And that's where she needs to go, as well as other members of this administration who have participated in this illegal war of Iraq.